Hello. Okay, guys, welcome to the Stardisco channel. I am your host, Siren Creatrix, aka Stephanie Crystal Pierre, or maybe it's the other way around. Doesn't matter. Okay, so I've got a message for you guys. I wanted to talk to you guys about the visionary archetype. Okay, so if you resonate as a visionary, this is for you. Another, how would I say, dimension of the visionary archetype is also, if you consider yourself an entrepreneur, if you consider yourself a designer, a director, an intuitive, these are all different expressions of what the visionary archetype is, okay? And so said another way, this is somebody who sees something beyond, right? Sees something beyond what is and has this imagination to bring forth or to bring through something that is going to help humanity move forward, to help, provide solutions or a way of living that is what humanity needs in order to evolve, in order to technology is one such expression of this. Technology is like a training wheels that represents what we are capable of as human beings, but that we're not quite proficient at yet. So technology is that thing that is helping you to bridge the gap. So for example, I'm here on a live stream with you talking on a phone, okay? It's a piece of technology. We're all telepathic. We all have the ability to connect with people all over the globe. However, this piece of technology facilitates that function much easier, okay? So even technology is a form of a visionary. I mean, people that create technology, even just, when the first vehicle was created or, Ford, created a car, right? Like prior to that, we were still on horses, right? Or on foot. And so the car is an invention. It's an innovation that allows people to really evolve and it progresses society. It progresses culture. Okay. So I work with I consider myself a visionary. I work with a lot of visionaries. I also work with a lot of artists. And so what I wanted to talk about is one of the number one things that I see visionaries struggle with, okay? Because it takes a huge amount of courage to bring forth what is new. Okay, you're bringing something through that it's the unknown. You're bringing something from the other side, which is an unknown, into the real. So anytime you're dealing with the unknown, that there's a lot of fear that so this is okay. So actually, here is even another piece that I wanted to share with people that I see is that a lot of visionaries aren't even aware that the immense amount of fear that they might be experiencing because they're not actually quite allowing themselves to feel it. Okay. Let me see if I can say that another way. When you close yourself down or you push down your emotions, right? It's like out of sight, out of mind. You might be experiencing, you might have fear, or it's like but you don't allow yourself to actually be with it. to actually walk with it, to move with it. It's something that you might push down. And so what this does is whenever you're pushing down an emotion, where do we push things? Think about when you're pushing something down, you push things down into your root. You're pushing things down into the lower part of your body. Okay? And what's down here at the lower part of the body? It's your sex. It's your sex organs. It's the source. Your root chakra or your sex organs is the source of your creative life force, of your eros. Okay? So when you are pushing down your emotions and you're not creating the time and the space to actually feel it, to be with it, to move it, to express it, you're creating a lot of backup in the system. And I see this all of the time. I see this all of the time with clients, with patients, that when I start connecting them to their feelings, start opening up the space for them to go inside, to go deeper and start touching and being essentially, what is this? This is about embodiment. Embodied. What is this word gets thrown around all of the time? Embodiment. But what does embodiment actually really mean? Embodiment means that your spirit is anchored all of the way in your body. Okay, there's a lot of people that maybe live from here up. What does that mean? Meaning that they're operating a lot just in their head space, which is logical. Okay, now this is fucking gold. This is so fucking gold. So pay attention to this. If you're a visionary, that is a big part of what is required to be a visionary, to actually bring through the vision, is intuition. Focus. Two things. Let's break this down. So if you consider yourself a visionary, and again, let me recap this because, for those of you that are just popping on. Visionary also includes entrepreneur. This includes directors. This includes designers. This includes intuitives. I'm missing something else. You get the drift, okay? So in order to be a visionary, it requires you have to be really focused, number one. That's why I posted not too long ago, visionaries are a dime a dozen, okay? There's tons of people that consider themselves visionaries, or you might consider yourself a visionary, but are you actually bringing through your vision into the 3D reality where you're actually providing this vision for your community, for your family, for your people to actually have it, be with it, benefit from it, eat from it, make money from it? If you're an entrepreneur, you want to be able to make money with your new vision, correct? Okay? If you're a designer, it's not enough just to have a fantasy about what it is that you want. You want to be able to implement and reorganize your room, or decorate your home, or demolish a home and create a new structure that you can actually live in and appreciate and experience, right? So it takes a lot of focus to bring this new vision through. And I'm going to tell you why. Okay. And here is the number one challenge of the visionary. Pay attention. Are you paying attention? Let me know in the comments. Are you ready for this? The number one challenge that if you consider yourself a visionary, that Visionaries face, and I'm going to show you how to move through it, how to move through this challenge or this obstacle. Let me know in the comments. And I almost actually forgot to check to make sure that you guys can hear me, because sometimes that's a thing. What's up, Eartha? Yeah, okay, we're rolling. Okay, good. What is up? Nancy is in the house. You guys ready? You ready? Okay. Awesome. The number one challenge is if you have a vision, okay? Because if you're a visionary, meaning you might be filled with ideas. You might have all of these ideas, like all of these, ooh, I want to do this and I want to do that. And oh my God, that sounds like a good idea. And oh my gosh, what about this, right? Is to number one, you have to be able to recognize if this is worth it to you. Okay. And actually, if I was you, I would get out a pen and a paper, and or what I suggest when I do teaching and I do group coaching and things like this, and I'm on this format, is you can use the comments box to take notes. And why am I going to tell you to do this? Is because they have found the most successful people, the people that actually get the highest results, get the ROI for their time, their money, and their energy invested, are those that implement what they learn the quickest through doing something. So this is how you start embodying things, not just passively receive the information, okay? But use your whole body, use your head, use your heart, and use your hands to make it real. So either write this down in a notebook or use the comment box. Okay, so number one is you have to be able to recognize what ideas are worth investing in. And that requires a decision. Okay, so number one is being able to recognize what visions and or what ideas are worth investing in. Okay, now I want to talk about what investment means. Okay, an investment isn't just financial. It's very common in this day and age because you have been programmed since the moment that you were alive on this planet. You have been programmed to think that money is more important than your time. I'm going to say that again because this is gold. You have been programmed to believe that money is more important than your time. This is why we have tons of people working at jobs that they actually don't really fully feel fulfilled by, because they think that the money is more important than their whole fucking life. Okay, so an investment isn't just your investment of money. An investment is a psychological decision. Okay, and I want you to let me know if this is landing. Let me know in the comments, is this landing? An investment is a psychological decision. A decision, let me say it another way actually. A decision is a psychological investment. It means literally to cut out all other options. So when you have an idea of a vision or you see something of like, oh my God, I want to do this. And I'm going to give you guys very real life experience. Okay. I'm not just pulling this out of my ass. I'm going to be sharing with you how I did this and how I've done it. But as from an artist's perspective, and also how as an entrepreneur. Okay, so let me know in the comments, is this landing? Are you understanding what I'm saying? Are you getting the shifts around, or is it resonating with you as a visionary that at some point, if you actually want to bring through your vision and make it real, so it's not just hanging out here in headspace, it's like, oh, that's like a great fantasy, which is fun to play around with, because what a lot of people do is they push things off into the future in their mind, because in the future or in your mind, when you keep things as an ideal or when you keep things as a fantasy, you can control how it plays out in your mind. Like in my mind, I'm going to give you, we'll start going into the example. A year ago, I had an idea, or I had a vision that I wanted to create a music video. Okay. In my mind, I could have the whole idea and the whole picture and the song and the costumes and the outfits and the this and the that. And I could play with it in my mind and my imagination of what it was going to be like, of what it was going to feel like. Okay. I could essentially control how it played out. Okay? When you decide, when you say, I want to fucking make this real, you lose control of, because now what you're doing is you're initiating the creative process. Okay? If you're an artist, or you've ever had sex before, which sex is nothing more, nothing less than creative energy, creative life force. Shit gets messy, okay? Some of the best sex, the best art is wild. It's fucking messy. You're not controlling things. It's just like, it's this total freedom of expression and fluidity and movement. Okay? So once you decide to take something from a vision or from an idea, you now lose control completely over how it plays out. Okay? That's just, yes, of course you're going to focus. And that's why number one, focus. What did I say before? The two things that you really, really need as a visionary are, see if you guys were paying attention. I'll wait. How are you guys doing? I'm waiting. Don't be shy. There's no wrong answers here. This is just about engagement. This is how we learn. This is how we learn. Come on, let's go. I'm waiting. Come play with me, guys. Okay. Focus and intuition. Focus and intuition. Focus and intuition. These are the two things that if you consider yourself a visionary, focus and intuition. Okay? Focus and intuition. In order to bring through the vision, you have to be willing to focus, which means you're deciding to cut out all other options. Like, this is what we're doing. This is the game plan. Press go, press play, let's go. And I'm focusing. And what you're doing by focusing your energy is it's a decision to know that no matter how big or how small this vision is, that you are committed to bringing it through into the real. Okay? And this is where a lot of visionaries get stuck. We're going to talk about the intuition piece in a minute, but right now I want to talk about the focus piece. Okay? The focusing piece. This is where, let me know if this lands, let me know if this resonates for you, is the number one challenge that visionaries face. Okay, is once they've decided, okay, they've made that psychological investment to say, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it. And I don't want to downplay this at all, okay, because this is why I posted this and I said visionaries are a dime a dozen. Okay, and actually I'm going to grab that real quick because it was just however it came through. Visionaries are a dime a dozen. Visionaries plus risk takers plus work ethic, that is a whole other mythical beast. Okay, because not anybody could be a visionary, but there's a lot of people that have visions. There's a lot of people that have ideas, but do they actually make money from it? Do they succeed at it? Do they make it real? No, they don't. In fact, arguably, we could say that 97% of people don't do it. Okay? And it's because they're missing these two other pieces. It's a huge risk. It's a huge rolling of the dice it's an investment. It's a risk. When you're investing something, it's a risk that you're taking. You don't know. Remember how I said you don't have control over how it plays out. And this is why this is the number one thing that gets in people's way, is they're not actually willing to bet on themselves. They're not willing to bet on themselves. And that in and of itself is a whole other thing that I can go into as to why and how to resolve that. Why people aren't betting on themselves. Why they don't feel that they're a good bet. So after you decide, okay, boom, this is a good thing. This is what I want to do. Then you have to invest your time, your money, your energy, your resources. You have to mobilize all of your fucking focus and willpower and say, we're doing this. Okay? And so here's the number one challenge. I mean, we could arguably say is a challenge in and of itself. But this piece is where I really see people get stuck. And this is what I help people with. This is actually in the Stardisco brand, is the heart and soul of what the Stardisco brand is all about. Okay? What's up, David? Is after they have decided that this is worth risking for, is then you have to be willing to change your lifestyle. You have to be willing to, I'm going to pull up my notes because you have to be willing to rearrange your life. Okay? You have to be willing to rearrange your life. And so let me tell you why this is the problem. Let me know if that resonates for you. Let me know if that resonates for you. When you've ever wanted to do something, you've ever wanted to, you had this dream, you had this vision, or you had this desire, and then the number one thing that you might come across is, oh, I don't have enough time. Let me know if that's you. Let me know if that's ever come out of your mouth. Let me know if that's ever anything that you've said in the privacy of your mind palace. Let me know if that is be honest. The only way that we can actually make change in our life is you have to be willing to get radically honest and responsible with yourself and your desires. If you cannot get radically honest with yourself, if you cannot get, and take responsibility for your desires, you do not pass go, you do not collect $200. Let me know in the comments. I will wait. Let me know if that's something that's come up for you, meaning where you had a thought, you had a dream, you had a vision, you had this fantasy, and then you got to the place of, okay, yes, I want to do this. I'm good. And it kind of is like this. It's kind of like you make the decision and then you start leaning in to the edge. And what I mean by the edge is the uncomfortableness, because following your intuition, and here's that other aspect that I was telling you about. You need two things. You need focus and you need intuition. When you listen to your intuition, which is the heart, you can't even listen to your intuition if you're not embodied, by the way. If you're only operating from logic and what's logical, you aren't even touching. You're not even like scratching the surface of your intuition if you're only willing to entertain what is logical. Because logic is all up in headspace. Intuition comes from the body. It comes from, so remember how we were talking, if you came on here from the beginning, I'm going to get to your comments in just a moment. When we talked about pushing down your feelings, pushing down your emotions, and pushing them all the way down into the sexual organs, into your root, that's your body. Okay? And so you're not able, when you push things down there, you've disconnected, first of all, from all of your creative life force. You've disconnected from all of your creative life force. So you don't have access to your intuition. Or if you do, it's only a tiny, 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 tiny little portion of it. Okay? So you have to, number one, be willing to be with your feelings, to feel your feelings, to lean into what feels uncomfortable. And a lot of the time, that is actually how you distinguish the difference between what is a fantasy and what is your intuition. Okay, in fantasy, like I was saying, you get to control how it plays out because it's all happening here in your brain. You can fantasize all that you want, but once it becomes intuition, it feels uncomfortable. Why? Because now you're operating in the unknown. You don't know how it's going to play out. You don't know if you're going to get your money back. You don't know if they're going to like you back. You don't know if you're going to fall flat on your face. You don't know if you're going to get hurt. You don't know. But you cannot bring through what is new if you already know it. And this is actually where we get the word to know something. When in the ancients, like old time, people used to talk about he knew her, or they knew each other, actually meant that they had had sex. that they had an intimate connection of fully knowing what was hidden in another human being. That's what the essence of sexual creative life is about. It's about bringing something through and touching something that is hidden within you, that is an unknown. And the essence of that is fear. There's fear involved. So if you're not willing to walk with the uncertainty, to play and daredevil, that's why a lot of risk taking and work ethic. Okay, so number one, that's the so how we were talking about the number one thing is that once you decide, like, okay, yes, I'm going to go through with this thing, I'm going to do this thing, then you have to be willing to get uncomfortable in a lot of places in your life, because the way that you're living your life right now, in a lot of cases, is based on your habits and your routines that just kind of feel like effortless and normal and natural to you. That's what a habit is. We all, like, you ever heard of the term creature habits? We're creatures of habit. So we tend to kind of do the same things over and over again, and that becomes your lifestyle. When you want to bring through and create a new life, or when you want to bring through an invention or a new idea or a vision that you have, is you have to be willing to rearrange your life. And so the number one excuse that people will use when they get to this point, and so here is the number one challenge. I've seen it over and over and over again. And this is something that if you want to break through, if you want to make it from just being a fantasy to actually being, this is the fucking life that I have now, you have to know and spot yourself when you try to make excuses. It's like you have to get non-negotiable about the focus, the decision. Like, I'm cutting out all other options. So if and when you hear yourself saying, I don't have the time, right then and there, you know that it's not worth it to you. That is another way, if you're really honest with yourself, it's another way of you saying, this actually isn't worth it to me. I'm not worth, or this vision is not worth getting uncomfortable for, or I'm not willing to get that uncomfortable for it. And I know that this might be harsh, and I know that you might be, fuck you, Stephanie, I don't want to hear that. You don't know about my life. You don't know about how da-da-da-da. I am telling you like I'm telling you. If it was a true vision, and if it was something that you really decided, when you decide, decision actually means that you're cutting out all other options, and there's a type of surrendering that happens. Okay? When you actually decide, it's something that you feel inside of your solar plexus. It's something that you at some point recognize that I'm surrendering to how this plays out. And so when you tell yourself, or you notice, I don't have the time, or I don't have the money, you haven't surrendered. In fact, in truth, you haven't decided. Because when you decide, and this is the difference where people get into feeling like it's hard and they have to force and they have to push, as opposed to feeling led, as opposed to feeling the eros of something taking over you. And how can I not? It's because it's this feeling of something pulling you, and it's literally God. You've made a connection. You've made a fucking connection, a heart connection to something bigger than you. You've connected to something outside of yourself. If you haven't gotten to this point, you haven't decided. You have to go back and you have to decide and say, wait a minute, is this actually worth rearranging my life force? And get honest with yourself. This is the only way that you're going to see results. I am giving you fucking gold right now. And if you were wise, you would be taking notes. Okay? I charge people for this and they get results from this. This is how I created a music video as a mother, as an entrepreneur with a lot of other responsibilities and things in my life. Do you know how easy it would have been to say, I don't have the time and I don't have the money? It wasn't an option. You have to have that level of devotion, decision, and a psychological investment, a risk. We are doing this. It's non-negotiable. If you cannot do this, this is what separates it from just being a fantasy and just being that thing that I thought about 10 years ago, or I wrote in my journal 5 million times, or the version of me that I was when I was 16 years old, as to making it an actual reality now that you can touch, that you can feel, that you can eat, that you can have, and that you can hold. If you cannot get past this point, you do not collect go. You do not pass go. You do not collect $200. And so I'm going to repeat this one more time. This is the #1 challenge that visionary artists, entrepreneurs, designers, intuitives face when it comes to making their fantasy real, is they have to be able to decide, #1, is this worth rearranging my life for? Because it will require that. I'm going to give you one more example of how this plays out. Have you ever, if you're a mother, I know that you'll be able to relate to this. And what is a baby but a new life? It's no different. I'm going to use the metaphor of a baby. When a baby is born, and it's not just this, it's, in my head or it's in my belly. I can't actually, you can't really fucking touch it and hold it and have to be responsible for it the same way as when it's outside of your body. When a baby is born, do not fucking be fooled. That baby mobilizes and gets its needs met, whether through crying, fucking shitting its pants. It is willing to be humiliated. It cries. It makes noise. It gets what it needs and it gets it done. So many people come to be with that baby and help make that baby become a living, older, and it grows, right? It's this, you have to be willing to be like that with your dreams. These little tiny little baby dreams, they're not going to fucking grow by themselves. You have to say, this is fucking important to me. I love this enough to do whatever it takes to get uncomfortable, to invest my time, my energy, my resources, and rearrange my fucking life, mobilizing all of my resources to make this real. And the #1 thing that stops people from doing this is once it's like, I have to change my life for this. Yes. If you were already living that life, if this vision was already real for you, if you were already bringing through the new vision, you would already be living that life. You would already be eating, sleeping, acting, dressing, doing all of the things that version of you already was doing. So in order to align with that, and that's what actually alignment means. This is another word that gets thrown around a lot. Alignment. You just have to get into alignment. It doesn't take time. It takes alignment. And nobody fucking really understands what alignment means. Alignment is congruency. It means that what you're thinking, you're also actually doing. Meaning, if you have a vision of living your life a kind of way, or you're actually doing it, you're being it, you're living. And so here, said another way, when you're in alignment with your vision, you are living and you're breathing it. You're living it and you're breathing it. If you're not living it and you're not breathing it, you're not in alignment with it. And the truth is, the harsh truth is, you don't really want it. You don't really want it. So it takes a lot of fucking courage. And this is why I said that visionaries are a dime a dozen. Okay? And where we're at in our world right now, as our fucking systems are crumbling, our healthcare system is crumbling, our educational system is crumbling, our government system is crumbling, everything that you used to take for granted or you used to have your trust and your faith in is literally crumbling before your eyes. That means that it's up to us to build these new systems. It's up to the visionaries to build the new systems and structures, because we require new systems and structures, okay? And I want to be super clear, is like, I talked to you guys about how it's like, that logic isn't bad, that having these limiting structures and rules and systems, they're not bad in and of themselves. They're only bad if they're not actually serving your highest vision. So we need to have these new laws, systems, structures, operating systems in order to support where humanity is going. So the fucking role of the visionary is pivotal right now in this world. But the problem that visionaries are facing is that they don't know how to be risk takers, and that they don't have the work ethic. Visionaries are a dime a dozen. But if you want to make your vision real, if you want to actually be a mythical beast, and what I mean by a mythical beast is a vision. Why do you think that we're living in a time right now where everybody's talking about mermaids and dragons and unicorns? Because they're mythical beasts. It's not like a fucking coincidence that that is what is popular and it's what's trending in culture, is because that is on a psychological level, on a subconscious level, what people are actually really desiring. But in order to be a mythical creature, you need more than fucking fantasy. You need to be willing to take risks and to fucking back it up with action, which means that you have to cut out your excuses of I don't have the time and I don't have the money. And why? Is because time and money are the fucking easiest things to say. It requires zero fucking creativity to use the excuse of time and money. And I have zero, something that I take pride in within my field, with the clients that I work with and in my field, something that me personally, I consider a success is when I eliminate, or I do not tolerate, people in my field that say I don't have the time or I don't have the money, because those aren't even fucking real to me. You are more powerful than time and money. Why? Because man created time and money. You cannot, every time that you say I don't have the time, I don't have the money, you are giving over your power and your authority to something outside of you. You're saying that time and money is more and more powerful than you are, when we fucking created it in the first place. And it just means, and I say this with love, you fucking got lazy with your brain. You are being lazy with your brain. At least come up with a more creative excuse. I work with creatives, I work with artists, okay? And that's a standard, right? Like, if you're gonna bring through a vision, at least bring through something creative. Okay, that's my message. And so I wanted to come back and share with you guys, what's up, Lauren, that when I created my music video, which by the way, it's being sent out for editing. There's these special effects that I had to get sent to another videographer to have them do the editing. So I swear I'm getting an award in patience after this whole process. is I had to make a decision. And it would have been so fucking easy for me to, every time it was time to work out, because I wanted to have my body look a certain kind of way. I had a vision for how I wanted to look, what I wanted it to feel like. It would have been so easy for me as a mother of 3 and also building a business, the other jobs and responsibilities that I have in my life. It would have been so fucking easy for me to say, I don't have the time and I don't have the money. But if and when every time it felt like that, I had to come back to the vision. I had to come back to the truth. I had to essentially come back to my heart and get really honest with myself and say, Stephanie, is this worth getting uncomfortable for? And when I would, essentially it's decide. You have to go back and decide. And when you decide, you team up with God and miracles. Magic and miracle, guys, are a very normal, natural part of life. It is the fabric of which this world is created. But you don't get access to it if you're not actually connected to that part of you. If you're not, this is where it resides. It resides in your heart. Because what is the heart space? The heart space is where divinity, where your spirit connects and meets with your humanity. That's where the connection happens. The connection, the merging of you and God, of you and your power, of yin and yang. When people talk about hierogamos, sacred union, sacred marriage, what it really fucking means is you are connecting to God inside of you, and you're making love to that aspect of you to create a new life. You are stepping into the role as the creator and the designer of your life. Okay? So I'm going to stop right here because that was my message. It's specifically for visionaries and artists and the main problems or the main challenges that they face in actually making their visions real, and the skills or the behavior traits that are required to actually really be a fucking visionary. Not just in my headspace, oh yeah, I'm a visionary, but it's not actually really happening in my life. Takes a lot of courage. Takes risk. You have to be willing to make a leap. And what is the real leap? I'm going to tell you what the leap is. The leap that you're actually making is from your solar plexus into the heart. You're leaping from the animal part of you, the human part of you, to the wild of your heart, to the great unknown, to the greatest mystery that there ever could be, is in the wild of your heart. That's the leap that you're actually making. When you make a leap in life, when you take a risk, when you wear your heart on your sleeve, when you put yourself out there, when you're willing to get in the fucking game, that's the leap that you're actually making, is into your truest self, into your authentic heartbeat of who you are and who you came here to be, the place within you where you are unlike anyone else. You cannot discover that until you're willing to take those risks and make that leap. It's non-negotiable. So if you found value in this, if this is touching your heart, if this is resonating with you, I'm going to share with you the Stardisco Apprenticeship. This is a 1-year journey with me, and it is my modality that I have synthesized in how to live your life like a magical, mystical, creating and designing the life that you deeply fucking desire. And knowing, so this is how I began. I mean, I've done a lot of different things, but definitely this is what I utilized when I started creating my music video. When you start knowing where these certain checkpoints are based upon the planetary cycles. And these planetary cycles aren't something that are happening out there. They're real. They're fucking real, astronomical, physical, scientific things happening. But they actually represent rites of passage and voices of intelligence inside of you. They're actually archetypes. So when we talk about the visionary or the artist, those are archetypes. And when you understand the cycles of nature, the planetary cosmic cycles, there's a whole hero's journey that happens. And when you know about it, it's like a treasure map that you're given. You're able to much easily step through your challenges with grace, with fluidity, with success, with ease, because you're understanding what's required. Just like I broke down to you the number one challenge that visionaries face, and then the skills that you're going to require in order to meet those challenges. That's how you experience flow states. If you are interested in flow and what it means to have flow states meaning where you're able to move through and go much faster through your life because you're in flow, you're in sync, you're in harmony with the outside world, you're in alignment, is because you have the skills necessary for the challenge. The challenge that is being presented, you have the skills necessary. When you have a really big challenge and you feel like it's really hard, or I don't know how to do it, or you feel disconnected from it, a lot of the reason why that is because you still don't yet have the skills necessary to meet that challenge. It's like, we can use the example of lifting weights. Let's say you want to lift a really heavy weight, but you're not that strong yet. You don't even know how to fucking lift weights. It's going to feel impossible to you. You're going to experience a lot more headache, a lot more heartache, a lot more failure, a lot more struggle, as opposed to somebody who's been practicing doing it and knows how to do it. And maybe it's hard, or maybe it feels uncomfortable, but they have a level of confidence and proficiency in what it requires that it's an equal match. And so when that's happening, they experience flow. Okay? And so the issue with this, though, is that if you're not actually giving yourself a stretch, if you're not actually choosing a challenge that feels hard for you, you're not giving yourself very far to grow. You're always going to get out what you put in. So, and you have to be able to know, to be really honest with yourself about what you really want. Because some people set goals and then they don't meet them and they wonder why they didn't meet them. And then when they're really honest with themselves, they realize, well, it's not what I really wanted. So, and if it's something, so for example, if you're having a really tough time in your life, and then if you're really honest with yourself, you realize that the life that you're living isn't authentic to you. You actually don't love it. You don't enjoy the people that you're with. You're not enjoying your body. You don't like your job. You don't like the foods that, you know what I mean? Your life is filled with all of these things that if you're really honest, You don't really want it. And the biggest gift that you can give to yourself at that point is to acknowledge, wait a minute, again, coming back to the visionary, is this a dream? Is this a vision worth getting uncomfortable for? And if you get a yes, and here's the beautiful thing about the heart, and I invite you to do this with me. Whether it's a relationship, maybe you're questioning whether you're with the right person, or if you should, if you want to continue moving on in this relationship, or maybe it's a job, or maybe it's a direction that you're going, or maybe it has to do with your health, whatever it is. All you need to really do is you connect with your heart. And that might mean, especially if you're somebody who tends to live a lot in your head and you're very logical, perhaps maybe you're overly logical and you find yourself using excuses like I don't have time and I don't have money a lot, you're very logical. You have to get into your body first, okay? Because if you're in your head, like Tony Robbins says, you're dead. You have to get in your body. And sometimes that might mean just touching yourself, touching your body, touching it, you would be so surprised how many people I work with, and when it's like they actually have lost touch with their body. There's a lot of reasons why this is. The internet is one of them, but that's another conversation for another day. Artificial intelligence is another one. It's another conversation for another day. But you have to get into your heart, and your heart only responds in yeses or nos. Okay? And that's the beauty of it. It makes it so simple. It's like I think we overcomplicate things in our life. And this is something that is going to make it so much simpler. It's just about, what is my next right step? What's my next right step? And you get into the heart and you ask the heart and you say, do I want this thing? And your heart, when you're living in your heart, when you're heart led, when you are being honest, when you follow your heart, the heart is only in the moment, right now, because the truth is, all you have is now. All you really have is right now. And in the heartbeat, right? In the heartbeat, it's now. Now. Who am I now? What do I want now? Who am I now? What do I want now? In the heartbeat. Okay? And that means that you have to be willing to play with that level of risk, of that level of aliveness. There is nothing more exciting or more alive than being in the wild of the heart, which means that you might get a yes right now, and tomorrow you'll get a no. But there is a wisdom, there is a perfection, there is a joy and a liberation unlike anything you've ever experienced when you have the courage to live your life in this way. And that means that you go into your heart and you say, is this a yes or is this a no? And you're going to get a yes or a no. There is no such thing as I don't know. If and when you find yourself saying, I don't know, that's because you're actually scared of the answer that you're going to get. And that's okay. You can acknowledge that and say, I know that you're scared. And that's okay. And I'm choosing courage. I'm choosing to know. I'm choosing to come back to the truth. And then you wait and you listen. And in order to listen, do you know what that requires? In order to listen to your heart, that means you have to shut the brain off. And this is a muscle. This is intuition. I'm actually teaching you right now one of the tools or a technique to strengthen your intuitive muscle. Okay? The more that you do this, the more that you're going to be able to recognize the difference between the voice that you might hear in your head and the voice of the heart. Okay? The voice inside of the heart, the goddess whisper, it's more of it's gentler. It's gentler. Because there's love involved. It's softer. The voice of the head is more masculine and it's more it's like more computer. There's more of a logic. There's a reason. Here is another key way to know the difference. When you listen to the heart, there's just a yes or a no. There is no yes because X, Y, and Z, or no because X, Y, and Z. If and when you hear yourself justifying and or giving reasons behind your yes or your no, you need to highlight, newsflash, circle, remember that came from your brain. The heart doesn't do that. When you sit on the throne as the sovereign of your life, as the monarch, as the king or the queen, as the fucking authority figure, kings or queens do not give reasons for their answers. It's a decision because I fucking said so. I don't need a reason to back up my decisions. Thy will be done. Thy will be done. End of story. If and when you find yourself yes because, no because, that is your brain's fucking sneaky, manipulative maneuver to stay in control. We all do it. Give yourself massive grace, but it's your job to be able to spot it. Guys, this isn't easy. I wouldn't have a job if it was easy and everybody was living their life this way. Everybody would be living the life of their wildest, fucking most outrageous, outlandish, pleasurable dreams if this was easy. 97% of the world would not be in mediocrity if it was easy. But nobody can do it for you but you. Okay? So that's my message for you guys today. If you're interested in the Stardisco Apprenticeship, we begin April 24th. I have a whole Telegram channel with a lot more free trainings. I do daily, not daily, a lot of... I don't want to say daily because that's not the decision that I made for that space. However, I love it so much and it's just something that I can't help but do because I'm living and breathing it. I'm in there all the time and you get access to ask me questions specifically about it, get a taste for what this world is about and what it can do for you and whether it feels like a good fit for you. So if you're interested in that free Telegram, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to provide you with the invitation. If you have questions about it, that's the place to ask. That's it. That's all that I got for you guys today. Have the most amazing week. I love you. Bye.